The Steam Deck, retailing for as little as $400 or as much as $650, depending on which model you go with. Personally, I went right in the middle, for $530. Regardless of which model you buy, they are all powered by SteamOS, which is a kind of Linux. As most Steam users, myself included, use Windows-based PCs, it means that not 100% of your library will work on the Steam Deck. Although, to be totally honest, if you've been with Steam since the beginning, like myself, you probably have a lot of games in your library that won't work on a modern Windows 10 or Windows 11 PC anyway. At least if you don't go in and really work to get them working. Anyway, when I first turned on my Steam Deck, and of course let the machine update, I was then able to see how much of my library was deck ready. Just over 200 games. This meant that approximately 1/5 of my library was ready to go on the deck. Now, there were a lot of other games which could run on the Steam Deck, but you have to do some work to get them to work. These included some of my favorites, like Fallout New Vegas. And while I don't have an exact figure for games that will work, but with some work, I would approximate that figure at about 300 more games, give or take. The amount of work any of those games would take to get working varied wildly. Sometimes it's as simple as just setting the resolution properly. Other times things got more technical. It is worth noting, however, that even in the brief time I've had my Steam Deck, the number of games in my library that are deck-ready has increased slightly. So clearly there is work being done to increase compatibility. Of course, there are other things you can do with a Steam Deck than play games. You can go into desktop mode, which can be quite useful if you have a dock to use with the Steam Deck. When using the Steam Deck in docked mode, the screen on the Steam Deck will remain on. Some things will default onto the built-in screen, as opposed to the screen you're using with the dock. As where I had the dock set up, I couldn't directly see it. This caused some issues for me when I first used the Steam Deck. But now that I'm aware of it, it is nice to have a 2-monitor setup whenever using the Steam Deck in the dock. But this is only an issue when in desktop mode. You can, of course, go into desktop mode while using it as a handheld, but I wouldn't recommend that. It doesn't work very well. While you can use the touchscreen to replace the mouse, with my fingers I found that to be a not great solution. Your experience may vary from mine depending on your hands and patience with touchscreens. The majority of games that you can play on the Steam Deck will treat the built-in controls like they're an Xbox controller. And that works out very well, at least for the vast majority of things I have tried out on this device. As the device does have 4 back buttons to play with, you can assign them differently for every piece of software in your Steam library. So far as I can tell, there's not a way to apply these mappings universally to all games, although I guess you really wouldn't want to, as all games do play differently. It's worth mentioning that the buttons, sticks, and D-pad are all of excellent quality in my opinion. After some very heavy playtimes on this, they all still feel great and new. And of course, there are all kinds of non-Steam related things you can do on this device. You could install Windows if you were so inclined, or install a different kind of Linux. And with some effort, you can get other digital stores working on this device. But me personally, I have little interest in any of these things. I just want to play some Steam games on the go. And honestly, if I were to buy this over again, I think I would probably go with the cheaper $400 model, as SD cards work very well to add storage to this device. And I could have used that money I saved to put towards a lot of Steam Deck accessories, which there are a lot of them. I will, however, talk about Steam Deck accessories in a different video. But is a Steam Deck worth your money? Well, I can personally say it was worth my money, but I have a large library of Steam games, and I have some experience with Linux as well. If you don't have a pre-existing Steam library and aren't technically skilled, this might not be the device for you. This is essentially a Linux-based laptop in a highly unconventional shell, and coming to terms with that may be a barrier too high for some individuals. However, at a starting price of only $400, I do think this is one of the best values in gaming right at the moment, as I've never seen another device anywhere near that price point that was quite so flexible in terms of use. Please do subscribe, comment, like, and tell your friends.